Dong Seok and Scene A1, after yesterday's excellent chapter, episode 6 of Our Blues, begins with Hyein trying to comfort Yeongju outside the hospital. Hyein is not ready to be a father, but does suggest they raise their child together. Hearing the baby's heartbeat has changed his mind, and he's convinced that they'd make good parents. Hyein hands over a baby scan photo, which Yeongju puts in her pocket. She tells him she's going to get the bus, get an abortion and then go to Seoul. Silently, Hyein follows. On the bus, a fire extinguisher gets set off while Yeongju starts to panic, clutching her stomach and struggling. As she screams out that she's pregnant, the driver pulls over. Yeongju begins coughing by the side of the road. However, Choi Se-mi, a student at school, happens to be on the bus too, sitting at the back. As she hears them shout out that they're pregnant, she's shocked. Hyein and Yeongju walk together though, as the pair agree to raise their baby after all, determined to do right by their choice. The only trouble is now how to broach the subject to their fathers. The focus for the rest of the episode changes over to Sine, who seems to be doing better from her crippling depression we saw several episodes ago. Sine makes a big effort to clean the house up, vacuuming and clearing up all the toys. It's been 6 months since she's been divorced to her partner, during those heart-wrenching moments we saw a few episodes back. If that wasn't enough, Sine has been embroiled in a custody battle for years since then, and everything has been stacked against her. The caseworker shows up to snap photos of the apartment, and while she's looking around the house, Sine offers her some tea. As the investigator sits down, she warns that Sine needs to ask some awkward questions. While Sine claims they disagreed over their personalities, he's not so sure. It turns out that Yeol lived with her for several months after the divorce, but a car accident brought on partly thanks to a change in Sine's medication caused her to lose custody. Both parents love Yeol in their own way, but it's interesting to see how the answers differ between Sine and Taehyun. When it comes to finding out what Yeol thinks, we don't actually see his reaction to Sine until right at the end of the episode, as the video is paused and we cut across to Jeju Island. Specifically, we center on the ferry as Sine deliberates over what her son has said. This is going to affect the court's ruling, but right now, it's unclear what way. Funnily enough, Sine's car happens to be right next to Dong Seok's truck. As they make it onto Jeju Island, Sine tries to call for help with her car, given it's broken down by the side of the road. Dong Seok eventually stops and helps her out, although he's cold and standoffish with her. These two have a lot of history, which built up naturally over time, something we see through flashbacks. What begins as a pleasant meeting and a good date soon escalates as hot-headed Dong Seok gets into a fight with Sine's ex-boyfriend out in the street. This catches us up to those moments out on the beach, as Dong Seok drives her around in donuts. And, of course, it leads to the pair ending up in an awkward encounter where he kisses her and she doesn't reciprocate. In fact, on the way back she leaves his car and decides to call another taxi, not even wanting to talk to Dong Seok about what happened. Funnily enough, as Dong Seok looks set to drive away, his car breaks down, just up the road from Sine. In the present, Yeongju is questioned at school over her pregnancy. Se-mi realizes she's also wearing a slimming belt. This pregnancy isn't going to stay a secret for long, as she and Hyein contemplate just how they're going to tell their fathers. This is something that's made all the more difficult given both fathers don't like each other. Sine heads into the restaurant that night, where Yoonwi greets her. She's staying in the bed and breakfast down the road, but as she sits with a drink, Dong Seok heads in, sees her, exclaims "come on" and walks back out. It's only temporary though, as he eventually does stay to have a drink. Sine decides to leave instead. Everyone else is dumbfounded by what they've seen. Sine happens to be standing on the end of the dock, watching the waves as day breaks. She thinks back over her time with Yeol, as the devastating reveal of what he actually said about her is laid out in its heartbreaking clarity. She's sick. That's why I can't play with her. Hearing this, Sine jumps in the water. The alarms wail down by the dock, as Captain Jun's boat arrives on the scene. They head in to try and recover Sine, as Dong Seok watches. Poor Sine has been through hell, and despite all of her improvements, and getting help for her condition, she's on the verge of losing her son. The whole incident is so poignant and hard to watch, and it's something made all the tougher by the fact she's up against the odds every which way she turns. Dong Seok is a bit of a different situation, and his anger has been pent up for a while, so it'll be interesting to see exactly whether it really is just a situation involving his mum, or whether there's more to it than that. Seeing how Sine rejected Dong Seok was pretty brutal to watch, although it's fair to say she just waned a friend at that point. Although to be fair you can understand why Dong Seok misread those signals. Beyond that, our blues is just starting to dance between all these different couples now with a consistent rhythm, while still maintaining a focus on one couple each chapter. If you watch the preview for next week's episode, it actually looks like it's going to be incredibly dramatic. For now though, this week's double bill goes out on a high, leaving many, myself included, counting down the days until the next episode.